Hello and welcome to the Real Men of Real Estate radio show. I'm your host, Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor. And when you tune into my show, you're going to learn how to build passive cash flow and create true financial freedom by investing in mortgage notes. You'll learn how to collect cash flow from real estate without owning the real estate. I mean, who really wants to deal with termites and tenants and toilets and all those troubles associated with being a landlord? And guys, I'm going to bring amazing experts on my show every episode so you can get a well-rounded education about note investing and financial intelligence, because you too may be able to change your financial future for the better and leave a better financial legacy. So y'all know financial intelligence is what I preach. Note investing is what I teach. And today is going to be such a fantastic show. Folks, we've got lined up an amazing guest. She's a friend of mine now, and we've become colleagues and friends, I guess you can say. And she's just amazing. She has a growth of information. Her name's Mary Hart. We're going to bring her on the show to help us discuss entities and protecting your wealth and all this great information. And she's going to lay down some awesome nuggets for you folks. So don't go anywhere. You're going to want to listen in today. But we always start off with, and I know Mary's on the show right now, we'll introduce her in a second, but we always start off with folks letting you know that this radio show is all opinions from myself and my guests, and experiences and stories from our life that may be able to help you transform, but by no way should this information be misconstrued as legal or investment advice or investment solicitation whatsoever. If you're going to invest in anything, we all highly suggest that you seek out proper legal counsel and that you make sure that you're making the right decisions, okay? And so now that we've got that covered, folks, what is my show about? For new listeners, we're talking about mortgage note investing. And people say to me sometimes, what is a mortgage note? I don't even know what it is, but a mortgage note is basically a promise to pay when you go to buy a house and you don't have the cash to buy the house. See, if you have the cash to buy a house, you just take the cash over and you do the deal, lay down the cash for the house, and they sign the deed over to you and they hand you the keys and the deal's done. You now own the house. Most people are not buying houses for cash to live in them. Most people get what's called a mortgage loan. So when you go to the bank and you get a mortgage loan, you're seeking financing for a property that you're going to buy as the borrower, and you sign a document called a promissory note, and it basically spells out how the money you've borrowed is supposed to be paid back to the bank. Now, the bank also makes you sign another document. It's called a mortgage document. And that mortgage document is what collateralizes or secures that physical piece of real estate as collateral for the promissory note. So folks, when we're talking about mortgage note investing, we're talking about buying and taking over the future promised payments of a promissory note. And we also have that physical home as our collateral, meaning there's a borrower, call them a homeowner, in place that's living there. It's their house. And instead of you being a landlord, because remember, you don't own the house, you just own the promissory note like the bank. So the idea is, folks, that you don't have to deal with the tenants. You don't have to get the phone calls when the roof leaks or the toilet breaks or the water heater breaks. You are the bank. What we do as the mortgage note investor is we collect the monthly payments from that real estate, just like a bank, without owning the real estate. See, the homeowner owns it and you're collecting mortgage payments with interest every month versus rent payments. So I hope that's a simple explanation for new folks that say, well, what in the heck is he talking about with his mortgage note investing? But I know Mary, and we can definitely bring you in now, but I know that Mary is quite an expert, in fact, and knows a lot about what do we want to call them? Alternative investments, I guess, Mary, or investments that maybe don't known as secondary market type of investments. And, you know, when we talk about mortgage notes, and I spoke with you or chatted with you a little bit before the show in studio, and we said, hey, you know, mortgage notes really are great because they provide three of the number one things that investors look for when they make an investment. And it's hard to find these three things all in one place. It's called safety, I guess is the right term, or maybe it's not safety, but it's a investment that actually has collateral. Let's put it that way. It's an investment that's protected or backed and has collateral. That's pretty neat. The other one is it produces monthly cash flow, which can help someone's lifestyle, help them live better, or they can compound that as an investor. That's huge. And how about the yield? A steady yield that's really not subjected to a stock market crash or maybe even a physical real estate market crash, because you're collecting that same amount of monthly cash flow very consistently. So you've got the good backing, or the collateral that's involved should sometimes include upside even. And you've got the monthly cash flow that's spit off by the mortgage payment, and you've got a good steady yield. What's your take on that, Mary? And how would we compare notes to other investments for the folks listening?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I'm a note investor myself. I do invest in other forms of alternative investing as well, but I do like some notes. I have some performing first lien positions. And I think that the thing I like about the note investing, like you said, it's mailbox money. So it's passive checks that are coming in every month, assuming your note is performing. It is secured by real estate. So if the borrower stopped paying and you could not get them to start paying again, you can foreclose on that house and take that real estate back. And in many cases, that gives you a bigger return than if you were just getting the monthly cash flow. Now, nobody wants to take somebody's home back. We try very hard never to do that, to work with the borrower to see why they stopped paying and all that. But it is protected in that sense if you've done your due diligence, with I think we'll talk about later. If you've done your due diligence correctly, then the amount you've invested in the note is less than the value of the house. So if you stop getting paid, you can take the house back and make even more money. And there are no tenants, toilets, termites, and trash. All those T words that we don't like if we're a landlord and we have to deal with the calls for the busted sink in the middle of the night, or the going by the property and changing out the HVAC filters every 3 months or whatever it is. So note investing can provide, like you said, passive cash flow with relative safety and security, no tenants, toilets, etc. So it's and multiple exit strategies with a note. You know, you can do a lot of different things with notes. So
Mary, have you ever been a landlord?
I have been a landlord.
Are you still a landlord?
I'm still a landlord in the commercial space and in the short-term rental space. I gave up being a long-term tenant landlord long ago, like 15 or 16 years ago, because I did not like dealing with long-term tenants and all the phone calls when things didn't go right. So I'm not that kind of landlord anymore.
Oh, and so you find out about notes. Let me ask you this. When did you find out about note investing?
Well, I was a lawyer for over 30 years before I retired. And so I knew a lot about notes as a lawyer. I think I heard about note investing for the first time probably close to 20 years ago, but I did not invest in notes myself until the last couple of years because I was doing other things. But I certainly was aware of it for a long, long time. And it was in my radar as something I wanted to check out. And I finally decided to do it. And I'm glad I did. I like being a note investor.
And let's get into the why, right? Why, so you've been a landlord, you've got, you said multifamily, you're obviously well versed in several different types of investments, and specifically about notes, since that's what my show is about. But why would you say in your mind, and let's just say owning a performing note, let's start with there. A performing note means, guys, that someone's just in the house, they live there, and they're paying their mortgage payment on time every month. And so it's kind of a clean thing. You buy it, put it in your portfolio, and start collecting mortgage payments every month. Sort of like buying a physical piece of real estate, Mary, that we're going to compare this with rentals here. But,
Right.
You buy a physical piece of real estate, you own the real estate, you put a renter in there. Well, instead, we're buying the promissory note. There's a homeowner living there, and we're going to start collecting mortgage payments every month.
Right.
Super similar. But let's compare it a little bit, because you've had experience with both. Give me your story on why would you maybe rather, at this point in your life, with all the education experience you have, why would you maybe rather purchase a performing note versus a single family rental property?
Well, the main reason I think is because what do we all really, really want? We want time freedom, right? We want the freedom to do what we want with our time, do what we want, when we want, where we want, with whom we want. And in order to have that time freedom, I realized I needed financial freedom. And I could go out and work, 100 hours a week and earn a big salary and create a lot of money. but it didn't have time freedom associated with it. So I started looking for ways to invest in alternative investments. And I can tell you why in a minute, as opposed to the stock market, but invest in alternative investments that would bring me a relatively passive cash flow so that I could have time freedom. I'm 59 years old. My kids are grown up. I want to go visit them when I want to visit them. I want to have a backpack business and work from anywhere in the world that has an internet connection. And I can do that with notes. I don't have to worry about going physically buy a property. Even when I buy the notes, by the way, Patrick, I don't go see the property. I swing by on Google Earth, and I might hire a local realtor to go by and take the pictures for me or do whatever, but I don't even physically have to go to the property. So it's really a great way for me to be a more passive investor. I mean, let's face it, you're never completely passive in anything in the alternative space, but this is about as passive as it gets. The performing first lien notes, first lien position, meaning you're the first person to get the house back if the people don't pay. So yeah, that's the main reason that I really like it, is because I want time freedom.
And that is the thing. And I feel like, I don't know if you agree with me, but I feel like it's the term passive income is very bastardized in most industries. It's, you get this allure that you're all of a sudden get to literally sit on the beach and have a cocktail and do nothing for a month or 2 or 3 because it's so passive. I haven't found much like that. Maybe first lien performing mortgage notes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if there is nothing completely passive unless you've just won that giant lottery and you truly can sit on the beach with your rum drink. Everything's going to take a little bit of work, but I do believe that first lien position, performing notes, certainly take less work than many of the other alternative investing strategies and are probably one of the most passive ways to get that cash flow.
Now, you said that with all of your experiences, you said, and I loved this story, you said, well, I made a giant list once and I put all sorts of alternative investments down on that list. And, I think you probably compared them with the ones that are normal, like investing in stocks, bonds, and those kinds of things. We have a minute or two before the first break, but notes versus other secondary investments. What's top 3 reasons for you, maybe personally, why notes might trump other options?
Yeah, just real quick to explain my little spreadsheet, because I do think it's helpful. When I was, there's so many different types of investments, whether it's the stock market or the myriad of alternative investing you can do. I just wasn't sure I was doing the right thing. So I created a spreadsheet, and at the top, I put every single way I could think of to invest. And down on the left-hand column, I wrote everything about me, what my goals were. Did I want to work 5 hours a week, no hours a week, 20 hours a week? What my skill sets were, what I was looking for. And then I just went through and what I knew about each asset class, and I matched up the X's. And so I, at the time, was practicing full-time as a lawyer, running my own law firm. I had a single mom of 3 kids. I was exhausted in every way. And I was trying to create a relatively passive income stream. And so I was looking for those things that didn't require a 40-hour-a-week job for me. And so looking at notes, I can research those online in the evenings, at my lunch hour, on Saturdays and Sundays, do the little Google Earth flyby and start looking for paper. We call that paper, the promissory note, to buy. So it was an easy thing to do around my 60-hour-a-week law firm schedule. It's one of the
beautiful thing. And, we're going to talk a little bit more about this, folks, just after this first commercial break. And again, you're not going to want to go anywhere. More coming right back with Mary Hart about alternative and note investing strategies right here on the Real Men of Real Estate show. Don't go anywhere.